Hello, everyone, and welcome to our April webinar on navigating career transition strategically. My name is Mildred Mabirizi, and I will be co-presenting with Dr. Victoria Okotie. We are the co-founders of Touchpoint. Touchpoint's mission is to empower, inspire, and provide you with innovative solutions to achieve your personal and professional career fulfillment. We have over 40 years of combined experience in corporate America as well as entrepreneurship. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you have been attending our webinars, we welcome you again too. We are really excited that you have joined us today. So, navigating career transitions can be challenging.
Yes,
But with the right strategies, career professionals can successfully navigate these changes and achieve career goals. So before we dive into our presentation, let us start off by highlighting the three most common career transitions.
yes, and we have experienced all three, right?
Yes, we have.
Yes, yes. So I would say the first is when a professional is transitioning within the same industry, but into a new role. Say, for instance, they are in the finance industry and they are financial analysts and they want to transition into a sales role, still in the same industry. I had a similar experience. My background was in the energy industry as a petroleum engineer. And sometime during my career, I transitioned to a reservoir engineer, which is distinctly different. And then I also transitioned into a performance analyst and into a learning development role. So, again, within the same industry. What about you, Mildred?
Yes, so in the energy industry as well currently, but I transitioned from refining into the renewables, specifically right now, wind generation.
Yes, that's
What is our
awesome.
second one then?
The second one is when a professional wants to transition to a completely different industry, but still within the same occupational role. So, for instance, sales in a healthcare industry to sales in a retail industry. Mildred, you had a similar experience too.
Yes, I did. I transitioned from the cement industry as an electrical engineer into the oil and gas industry, still with strongly my technical electrical skills as an operations engineer.
Uh, but I believe the third is even more challenging because
Yes.
it's a transition not only to a different industry, but to a completely different role. And that was my experience. So I moved from the energy industry after about 17 years to the tech industry, and also from a petroleum engineer to a consultant. So the third, I believe, is even more challenging.
So currently, I know we have few people on this webinar, and I do have a question for you. If you're comfortable, would you please share with us if you're currently considering a career transition? Which of these three areas do you fall? And I would invite you to type your answer in the chat. We'll give people a moment for them to type those answers so we can see where people are looking to transition.
Ah, a different industry to a different role. Krista, lovely.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. We do
Yeah,
have quite a
quite,
few
yes,
different industry,
variety.
different role.
Yes,
That's
yes.
different industry, different role. Wow.
That
Threes.
you're transitioning to a
Ooh.
completely different industry and a completely different role.
We,
Same for you,
we,
Esther.
yes,
Mm.
we do have a two, threes. Okay. So we'll continue, but feel free. Oh, we have a one before, and now number 301. So we do have the heavily seems like it's threes, but then I'm also seeing a one and a two here. So thank you very much for sharing transitioning to independent wealthy. I like that.
I like
Independent
that.
wealthy. So throughout this presentation, this webinar, we will be talking and using our experiences as examples as we walk through the key strategies to help you succeed as you make this transition. But before we begin, let us take care of some housekeeping, Vicky.
Yes, we would like to share a great resource with you. It is a book Mildred and I co-authored, which is titled Innovate Your Career, Become Indispensable. And so we encourage you, grab yourself a copy. You can find it online. It's also available on Amazon. And we know you will enjoy the read. We will certainly share some of the book's strategy in this webinar. Now, at Touchpoint, we provide career resources for professionals like you. So we want to invite you to please visit our website at touchpoint.org. Check out the resources. You can also listen to past webinar recordings and sign up for some of our sessions, and we'll share more of that at the end of our presentation. You can also feel free to ping us at info@touchpoint.org. If you have suggestions on topics you would like to hear about in upcoming webinars, we would love to hear from you. This topic was one of the recommended ones. And Mildred, as we begin the presentation, how about we ask them to save their questions to the end? Yes.
Yes,
Please
that's true.
please post them in the chat and we will address them during the Q&A. Only the webinar presentation will be recorded.
Thank you, Vicky. So as we get to start our first key strategy, which is self-reflect, I'm curious, why do professionals make career changes, Vicky?
I believe it's for a variety of reasons, and I'm also curious what our audience think. But I believe it's for a variety of reasons. For instance, it could be due to the stress in the workplace. So the current job could be demotivating. It could be a toxic workplace, or it
Mhm.
could be quite stressful. Maybe long hours of commutes, maybe long hours of working, maybe weekend working, and they want something different. Or it could be that they are seeking for flexibility. Today, more and more professionals are needing to work remotely because they understand that life happens and they want to have time for the things that are important to them. So they want some flexibility in their work hours. What do you think?
Also, Also, I think salary increase. I have, transitioned had career transition because I wanted more money, right?
Yeah,
As
yeah.
well as, like you said, an opportunity to advance. And, money and opportunity to advance, that's something I could not forego. I've also transitioned to follow my passion. I moved when I transitioned into the digital space while it was still in the same industry, but into the digital space, I wanted an opportunity to be more creative and be able to provide solutions into a maintenance space that, would help us save time, but where from a digital standpoint. I do know, Vicky, is that people actually do career transitions because of job loss.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is a big one. I mean, companies lay off or they reduce their staff workforce. The oil and gas is a really big culprit. Lots of layoff throughout our career, and
Mhm.
that also creates a sense of job insecurity. So when you don't have that security, you worry, what if I'm laid off? What happens? That was also my story, working in the energy industry. I saw a lot of my comrades being laid off and for years trying to find something next. So I believe these are the reasons why professionals make career transition decisions.
Hmm. So then, if these are the reasons, how do we then start the process of making that career transition? Where should we start?
I believe it must always start with the why.
Mm,
Why are you looking to transition? What is driving your desire to make this career change? What is it about your current role that you like and that you don't like?
mm. And you know, Vicky, when you talk about that change and also what is it about your current role that you like, that you don't like, it is said that there are four things that we balance when we are looking at the roles that we are in. Passion, which is values. And I know in our first webinar, we talked at great length
Yes,
of how to
about
discover
value.
your
Yeah.
values and
Mhm.
your passion. The other one is around money, work-life balance, as well as job title, believe it or not. So,
Mm.
there are times when either you have the work-life balance, but you probably have the passion, but the money's not there.
Right.
Other times that where the money's there, the passion is there, but the title is not there because, for whatever reason, then people are usually always balancing these four things, which fall under the things that we like and we don't like
Yes, yes,
into any role that we do have.
yes, yes. As Abraham Lincoln once said, the best way to predict your future is to create it.
Mm,
Right? So the
yes.
question is, what does your ideal career or role look like? What
Mhm.
is your desired outcome? And then have you embraced the pros and cons to this career transition? Because we know that when you shift to a different industry or a different role, you tend to lose that network you have and the years of experience, and no longer are you seen as a subject matter expert. It's almost as if you feel you're taking a step backward. But then when you have come to terms with why you need to make this change and you are clear and ready for the challenges that may come, then I believe that is the first step. What else, Mildred?
Yes, I totally do agree with you on that pros and cons as you do the transition. Looking at this, just like we talked about the likes and the dislike about your current role, it is really, really critical to hone in on the pros and the cons of where you are and where you want to be. Because when I transitioned from cement to energy, I felt like I took a step back. And
Mm,
as I looked at my peers in the cement industry, looking like they were growing, they were moving ahead, I felt like I was taking a step back. But I was prepared for that because I had looked at what is it that I'm going to give up? What is it that I am actually going to gain? And then on this side, the environment that I'm coming from, what do I like? What are the pros of me staying where I am? And what are the cons of me staying where I am? So that way, whenever that leap was made, that self-reflection came that whether I saw my peers moving along, I comforted myself that in a couple of years, I think we'll all be at the same place.
thank you. I really like that you sharing your personal story, because it is really, the reality is that it feels like you're stepping outside your comfort zone. But now, beyond the self-reflection, what is next, Mildred?
So what comes next is doing your due diligence into the industry that you want to move to, into that new role that you want to move to. We had a lot of threes that we talked about, different industry, different role. being able to understand what are the barriers to entry where you are moving to. What skills, because remember, when you self-reflected, you also self-reflected on the skill sets that you have. What is it that do you have that you can actually be able to bring into the industry as you look at these are the things that I need to have, the qualifications, the skill set, the education, the certification, the experience. How are these things? Where do I have gaps? Will I be able to close these gaps? And what do I bring into this industry that will be of value?
I also believe that this is the time to leverage your network, or
Mhm,
as we often call it, your tribe. Speak to people within your network who are already in that industry. Or you can say, can you introduce me to someone within your own network who is in that
mhm.
industry? Because there's nothing better than hearing from those who are already there to understand what will it take to make that transition? What does it look like? That could even reshape and change your focus. You might say, oh, that's not going to work for me, because the more you dig into it, you realize that it's not what you thought it was. And so this is where, beyond the online research, beyond the informational interviewing, it's important to also gather information from experts or professionals already in those career paths, already in that industry. And then you'll be able to glean information, opportunities, resources that will contribute to your career transition.
I agree with you, Vicky. Many times people are shy on doing get to know you conversations, right? And we have tools today. We have LinkedIn where you can see professionals, who are in different fields. We have meetups, being able to sit down with people and having that conversation of, hey, I want to move into the tech industry. What is your experience? How do you like it? Or I want to become a CEO. What is your experience? How would you like it? It's just having those bold conversations, you glean a lot of information from those conversations, as well as strategies, as well as points or steps that you may not have thought about. Being able to, have that experience where somebody's giving you their firsthand experience in a more laid back kind of way, if I could use that, but leveraging your network and having those informal conversations, it was really, really good. I agree with that. So we've self-reflected, we've done our due diligence. What comes next?
I really like this graphic, Mildred.
Mm,
You see, everyone is swimming in the same direction, but this guy in
mm,
the pink kayak has something extra that others don't have. And
mm.
that has given him a competitive advantage. We talked about this in our book, chapter 2, knowing your competitive advantage. What does that mean?
So competitive advantage is that which differentiates you from others. This includes your education, your experience, your skill set, your network, how all these skills work together to set you apart. Not necessarily to compete with your peers, but to set you apart. So you really can use all of them together to be able to be differentiated. Just like this guy, right? He has a kayak. Everybody's swimming. He has a kayak, but even his kayak is pink. So you can quickly be able to, be able to see him. Could be the skills that you bring to the table, your transferable skills that would give you a competitive advantage.
So, for instance, I'm thinking of someone who is a financial analyst, and that professional wants to transition into the tech industry, say, as a cybersecurity professional. There is something that analyst brings that other cybersecurity professionals would not have, and that is his or her financial skills. And
Mhm.
so, by identifying what transferable experience and skills he has when he moves into the cybersecurity space. He can leverage on that and even bring more value to financial institutions because he's not only seeing things from a cybersecurity point of view, but also from a financial point of view. So that is becomes his competitive advantage. And it's important because as we move to a new industry or role, there are experiences and skills. There could be soft skills like leadership, communication, analytical skills, or technical skills that we bring with us that amplifies our value as we land a new role. And when we see ourselves through those lenses, it makes us even more confident. We don't feel like we have gotten to the back of the line. What do you think, Mildred?
I think so. I do want to, hone in a little bit more on transferable skills because we hear this word being said a lot. Use your transferable skills, use your transferable skills. And we go, what? What does that mean? Your transferable skills are, could fall under, your soft skills, problem solving, um, communication,
Communication, yeah,
influence, people
yeah.
influencing, those,
Yeah,
networking, those things fall into, but they are also the other that I like to call the technical skills or foundational skills that are core to our role. And those, for me, in my example, when I was looking to transition into the digital space, I actually leveraged my maintenance and manufacturing background. I did not have that, digital space, how to do things in that, discipline. But I did what I saw within the role was that they were also looking for somebody who had manufacturing background. So I brought that manufacturing background to the table as well as my maintenance skills to the table. So that way, when I got into the role, as I transitioned into the role, I delivered the value using my maintenance and manufacturing skills, leveraging my soft skills to be able to reach out to people because I had people in my network within the digital space. But also in that meantime too, while I learned and acquired digital skills in the process, I transitioned with my maintenance manufacturing skills, but then started working and gathering skills using, my other skills of influencing and learning. So it is a place where when we are looking to transition, being able to understand those transferable skills, what skills do you have that could help you pivot into another industry or into another role?
yeah, well said, well said. So after identifying our transferable skills and experience, what's next?
The next thing is to set a goal. Set a clear, realistic career goal, which we did after you've done that self reflection to determine the direction you want to take and the steps that you're going to need to get there next year or whatever the time frame that you give yourself.
I think at this point, I would like to ask the audience if you feel comfortable and you are looking at making a career transition or even in the middle of a career transition, please type in the chat your career goal. So, what is it you are looking to achieve? Please type it in the chat. We'll just give a few minutes. That's if you feel comfortable. So, Mildred, as we see, okay, we are seeing some comments coming in. Yeah, starting a business. Oh, yes.
Work-life balance,
Mikael,
I like
I
that.
think you're going to love the next webinar we have because we're going to touch on that. Yeah,
Mm.
more work-life balance. That's a big one too.
More money, less work.
I like that.
I need to know that industry too. So Vicky, as we say I like the love. So consulting, coaching. So as people continue typing this, because I want us to make sure that we have enough time for Q&A.
Yes.
Do we want to pivot to that next portion of it? So we've set our career goal. How do we make sure that we achieve it?
The next step is to create your transition plan with milestones.
Mm,
Because without taking this next step, your goal is just simply a wish. But then, by creating a transition plan and by having short-term milestones, it becomes clear how you intend to achieve your career goal. So, for
mhm.
instance, what is your plan to upskill if you have identified the skills gaps? What is your plan to upskill and gain the new skills you need? Could it be through education? Could it be through a certification or taking a course? It could also be attending a workshop or professional events, volunteering, job shadowing, or you can take a broadening role or even a temporary assignment. So it's important when you have identified the gaps in your skill or knowledge that may be hindering your career transition. The next step is to detail in your transition plan what you intend to do and milestones to celebrate those short wins as you journey towards achieving your career goal.
I agree with that, Vicky. And the other thing to here is also to notify your network.
Yes, yes,
As you
absolutely.
let them know that, listen, I am moving, my example, from the cement industry into, into the oil and gas, or I want to move into the oil and gas, or literally, I am moving. I do want to move out of the cement industry into something else. Because like you said, now that you have a plan, you've created a transition plan, your network can help you to actually to stay accountable. For example, if you have a coach or you have a mentor, they can help you to stay accountable each week, asking, how are you doing? How are you going with your plan? Is it on pace? Having that accountability will help you to be able to, really achieve your plan. The other thing that a network does is that they can actually connect you to places where you can get a job, and as well as give you insights into different industries, what industry events you should attend. These are all the things that your network brings to the table that would be beneficial.
Yes,
Talk
yes,
to us then
absolutely.
about rebranding.
Yes, yes. In fact, even before I get to rebranding,
Mhm.
network, we can't overemphasize the value of network, because it by speaking to your network, it gives you more clarity on how to execute your plan. For instance, you get ideas on, yeah, check out this resource, or here's an opportunity that may be useful for you, or, I can support you with this. They may even connect you to professionals within their own network or professional associations that would help to drive your career goal. And then we talked about rebranding yourself. If you
Mhm.
recall, I struggled with this when
I
I left
remember.
the energy industry. Remember?
Yes.
I didn't know how to introduce myself because for over 17 years as a petroleum engineer, I always said, "Hi, my name is Vicky. I'm a petroleum engineer." But now, who am I? Right?
Mhm.
What do I say? How do I introduce myself? Mildred, what ideas do you have?
So here is in the conversation in the webinar that we had last month where we talked about resume refresh. I think we talked about this really well. Is now you know your goal, you know what skill sets you have. It's tailoring your resume and your LinkedIn profile to highlight your relevant skills, experiences, accomplishment to target the industry or the role that you're looking to move into. This becomes really, really clear. You develop a compelling story about you. And sometimes in this story, you can also very tactfully include why you're moving, because understanding that and being able to speak to it will give you will give you the opportunity to really talk through your experience, because people are going to ask you, why are you moving? It's a question that inevitably, but as you're rebranding yourself, because you have already path through this during your self-reflection, you'll be able to have the conversation of really who you are and what it is that you're specifically looking for and where.
There was I had a very interesting experience this week. I was on the call with a client, and as I introduced my consultants, one of them had shared, okay, that he is now in the cybersecurity industry. But then, as he said that, he immediately followed that up with where he had worked in the past. And then he
Mhm,
mentioned his financial background. And immediately when he said that, he didn't realize that the client, um, he is a financial consultant. And when he had
mhm,
financial, he said, I need to talk to you. So
mhm,
it was so powerful to see that we must not discount our past experience.
mhm,
As we
mhm.
introduce ourselves in what we are right now or what we seek to be, we must also mention the other things we bring to the table. I also want to include that as we job hunt and look for
Mhm.
opportunities, it's important to build new relationships. You may need to
Yes,
get a new mentor in this new industry, or link with industry experts in this new industry who can also provide you support, advice, or referral as you make this career transition.
I agree with that. So now we are ready to leap. We've hunted for the job, we've gotten the job, or whatever situation has happened to us, we're ready to make that leap. How do we take that leap?
Well, inevitably, it may come down to finding the right opportunity to make this clean transition and take the leap. Now, in certain situations, you may be able to transition immediately from one role to a different one right away. And this is often the case if you stay within the same company because the barrier to entry is lower. You don't really have to
Mhm.
prove that you have these new skills, right? But in
Yes.
on other situations, you may need to remain in your current role as you execute your transition plan. So, for
Yes.
instance, if you need to skill up, so you can remain in the current role, skilling up until you're done and you're confident to make the jump, or the opportunity presents itself. Now, sometimes professionals may find that they have to walk away from this current role. For instance, if they are laid off or
Mhm.
if they decide to quit, then they could take a transition job while they skill up, right?
Yes.
To meet their financial needs, or they may
Mhm.
even take a career break, which is what I did. So
Mhm.
again, my story, I worked in the oil and gas industry for 17 years, and I started to grow uncomfortable because I could see the effect of the cyclical nature of the oil and gas with the constant layoff taking a toll. A lot of my comrades left, and we are looking for other things. But as a petroleum engineer, many of our skills are so specialized that they are limited to oil and gas. And so I saw that this presented limited opportunities to be able to transition to other industries. So I decided to draw up a career plan, a transition plan. My goal was to move into the tech industry. And I love the tech industry because one, we share quite similar skill sets. And two, I love data. I love data. I'm analytical. And so
Mhm.
I felt like this was a better industry to transition into. Plus the tech industry, I mean, with the the digital technologies and the innovations that are happening, there was less of this worry about job security, and there was growth opportunity. So when I laid out my career plan, I identified after much heart searching, that I wanted to become a consultant and I could take my experience into consulting. And then I thought about what skills do I need as a consultant, which I currently didn't have. So I put my list down. Top of my list was project management, specifically agile project management. So I put it right there in my career transition plan, gain agile project management skills by taking these certifications. I had a list of certifications I was going to take. Next on my list was gaining business and financial skills, because as a technical person, that is something that we tend to be weak on. So on my list, I put get an MBA, because I believed that was going to help me tremendously as a consultant. Next on my list, I put gain data skills, build more analytical skills. And after I have spoken to a lot of people within my network, I finally decided to go for a data science master's. That was all in my career plan. And finally, on my wish list was get a doctorate, right? Specifically, a doctorate in business administration, because I needed that to help me as a consultant. This was what I laid out on my career transition plan. And I decided I would stay where I was while I slowly build these skills. And when the right opportunity comes, I would leave the industry. Well, a couple years later, the right opportunity came. I took a package and I left the oil and gas industry and took a 6 month sabbatical. Now, during that time, I needed it because I needed to step back and review my career transition plan. And then 6 months later, I launched my technology consulting firm. It's about 4 years ago, and I started my doctorate. And so I was able to accomplish my goal. So this is my story, and I know it comes with its challenges. Mildred, what's your story?
My story is like we said, it is moving from one industry to the other, but using with the same role. And I had been this happened early on in my career. I'd been in the cement industry, and the role that I was in, I needed that work-life balance. I would travel and come back over the weekend just to do laundry and then get back on the plane again. And I realized for me, that was not sustainable in the really early stages of, growing our family. So I, started looking around and looked, talked to the people in my network and had a conversation of, hey, I'm looking for a new role. Work-life balance is really important, as well as opportunities to travel to different places or live in different places and career advancement. Few things, very simple, of course, and more money. So, after having, that conversation, one of the things I really focused on was to make sure that what became very clear is my technical transferable skills were the thing that I needed to use for me to pivot wherever it is that I was going to. And I knew clearly that I had to change industry. And so that's what I used. I used my electrical engineering background for me to be able to pivot. And I pivoted into the oil and gas with an operations role, having a focus on electrical with the electrical specialty. So that's what I used for me to pivot and be able to transition. But there was that self-reflect and being able to look out and see what is it that I needed to help myself to transition. So as we move into, now that we've lived, as we move into our last strategy, which is once you have transitioned, you have moved into the new industry or the new role, how you thrive and grow. Okay, one of the things here is that I feel that is really, really important as we've transitioned is to make sure that we expand our tribe,
Yes.
like we call it,
Mm.
which most people call the network. The reason why it is really, really important here is because you do want to thrive and grow. But because you have left your previous um, comfort zone or the place where everybody knew you, what you did, what skill set you brought, here the challenge is that not only does it feel, and I'm using the word carefully, feel that you are starting off over, you do have a portion where you have to demonstrate your value delivery. And so delivering your value, your performance becomes really important because as you deliver that value, it helps you to grow your network. People get to realize, hey, I can count on them for them to be able to do this, 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 and that, or I can ask them this, or they can come and ask you for advice. And in so you get coaches, you get mentors, you get sponsors, and that's how you grow your comrades, everybody starts coming towards you as you perform and show the value that you bring to the table. What else would come into this category, Vicky, to thrive and grow?
Yes, I also think it's valuable to remember to be kind to yourself as you grow and not allow the pressures of having to perform at, at top speed. I often say if you transition to a new role, you got to give yourself about 6 months, right? In about 6 months, you can start to feel, okay, I got this now. I understand how things work here. I think I'm now able to really bring strong value. And even more when you transition to a completely different industry, you need to give yourself about a year because you're still trying to get familiar with the technologies and building your network and understanding how it works. So being kind to yourself and not put undue pressure as you grow your network, as you navigate possible setbacks in your journey in your new base.
The other thing, Vicky, that I would say here is being able to seek for support and guidance.
Yes,
Is in
yes,
the same token of being kind to yourself, is also being kind to yourself that you can ask for that support. You can ask for that guidance. As you have your coaches, your counselors, whoever it is, being able to ask your colleagues, hey, can you walk me through how this is done? Or I know you told me because many times we forget. I know you told me last week how to do this. Can we walk through it one more time? Just being able to be open to seeking for that guidance and support will go a long way into thriving and growing where you are.
wonderful. Thank you so much, Mildred. I believe we have come to the end of our presentation. Mildred, can you share with our audience what resources Touchpoint has to offer?
Yeah, so we want to, be able to offer some things that would help you in the process if you are in the career transition or you are considering that career transition because we understand that there are fears, there are challenges in making this leap, especially as you're leaving your comfort zone and starting a new role or a new career. It is never
No,
easy.
it's never easy. Mm,
No, and Touchpoint has supported many professionals who have successfully transitioned their careers. And that's the thing that we want to support you. So for April currently, we are running a couple of specials. So the first one is a power session for professionals who are considering the career change or those who have made the change and they need support in their new role. The other one is the advisory session. The advisory session is when you need that help for the goal setting as well as the career transition planning. Then there is also the monthly session. And in the monthly session, it covers everything we've discussed today, as well as tips on personal branding, how to make sure that you brand yourself. I want to be able to be, I feel like this is a really good, exciting offer here, which is the advisory and monthly sessions come with a free book.
yes, absolutely. And I think it's also important to highlight that the April slots will fill up fast. We just have 1 week to the end of the month. But if you find there are no available slots, please reach out to us at info@touchpoint.org, and we will work something out. We are also running a summer discount for our resume clinics. A resume refresh link. If you need help on your resume, you need us to review it together with you, provide feedback, please sign up. If you refer a friend, you will get a free book. And Mildred, what about our May webinar?
Yes, I was going to
Yeah,
say that.
yeah.
Coming up, exciting. I did see somebody in the chat a couple of people in the chat who have talked about starting their businesses or their consulting business. So for our May webinar, we'll be talking about side success, which is launching your entrepreneurial venture. And we don't want you to miss the opportunity to explore with us the world of entrepreneurship and how to turn your dreams into reality, whether you're looking to generate extra income or turn your passion into a business. This webinar will provide you with the insights and strategies to build a successful side business, all the way from ideation to execution. The sign up is open for this webinar, both on our website as well as on Eventbrite.
Kathleen Buchilo once said that the first step to receiving an answer is being brave enough to ask a question. So we have come to the end of our presentation. It's time for Q&A. We'll stop the recording now, and the floor is open. So please drop your questions on the chat bot, or feel free to unmute yourself and speak, and we will attempt to answer all the questions within the time we have left.